The chamber was collapsing around them, but neither Vegeta nor Darth Sidious moved. They simply stood, measuring each other, two apex predators recognizing a worthy opponent. "You've made a grave mistake, Saiyan," Sidious said, dark side energy crackling around his restored form. "Did you truly think I needed your cooperation? That this was about possession or vessels?" He laughed, a sound like grinding glass. "No, I needed you to do exactly what you did. Open the door, lower the defenses, and most importantly, reveal that you care." "I care about nothing," Vegeta snarled, but the words rang hollow even to his own ears. "Liar," Sidious replied. "You care about your family, your pride, your rivalry with Kakarot. These attachments, the Jedi would call them weaknesses, but I call them leverage." He raised his hand, and the datapad on the ground flew to his grip. "This pathway to your dimension? I don't need to follow you through it. I just need to send a message. Tell your enemies where to find your loved ones. Plant seeds of doubt. Corrupt from a distance." Vegeta's golden aura flared so bright it was almost white. If you touch my family, "You'll what?" Sidious interrupted, his yellow eyes gleaming. "Young Goku tried that already. It didn't take. The dark side is eternal, Prince Vegeta. You can destroy this body, scatter this essence, but the darkness I've planted in your mind, that seed of doubt, that knowledge that your pride endangered everyone you love, that will remain forever." The words struck deeper than any physical attack could, because they were true. Vegeta had taken the deal, had prioritized his own desire to go home over the safety of an entire galaxy. And in doing so, he'd potentially doomed his own universe. "No," Vegeta said, his voice low and dangerous. "You're wrong about one thing. I'm not like Kakarot. I don't have his mercy, his restraint. When I destroy you, there won't be anything left to resurrect, no essence to preserve, just atoms scattered across space." He moved. Super Saiyan speed combined with decades of combat experience made Vegeta a blur of golden destruction. His first punch shattered Sidious's force barrier like glass. His second sent the Dark Lord flying backward through 3 walls. His third would have vaporized Sidious completely, if Darth Tenebris hadn't intercepted it. The cultist leader had transformed, empowered by dark-side alchemy and Sith rituals that pushed his body beyond its normal limits. He met Vegeta's punch with his own, and the collision sent shockwaves through what remained of the detention level. "You'll have to go through all of us first," Tenebris growled, his voice distorted by dark-side corruption. The remaining cultists surrounded Vegeta in a circle, their red lightsabers ignited, their bodies pulsing with unnatural power. Vegeta's response was a laugh, cold, merciless, and utterly confident. "Ha ha ha, good." What followed wasn't a battle, it was an execution. Vegeta tore through the eternal shadow with surgical precision, each strike calculated to cause maximum damage. He didn't waste energy on flashy attacks or demonstrations of power. This was combat at its purest, a warrior eliminating threats with ruthless efficiency. The first cultist died when Vegeta's fist punched through his chest, ki-coated hand crushing his corrupted heart. The second lost his head to a spinning kick that moved faster than the eye could track. The third and fourth were vaporized simultaneously by a dual-handed energy blast that left nothing but ash. But for every cultist that fell, Vegeta felt the dark side pressing harder against his mind. Not trying to possess him, Sidious had been truthful about that, but whispering, offering, tempting. Your anger makes you strong. Embrace it fully. The Jedi held you back, made you doubt yourself. You could have been home already if you'd been ruthless from the start. Your family suffers because you listened to Kakarot's weakness. Vegeta's golden aura flickered, dark energy beginning to mix with the pure light of his Super Saiyan transformation. His attacks became more vicious, less controlled. The last two cultists didn't just die, they were obliterated with such overwhelming force that the walls around them cracked.
Yes, Sidious hissed from where he'd recovered. Feel the power of the dark side. Not possession, partnership. The darkness doesn't want to control you, Prince Vegeta. It wants to free you from doubt, from restraint, from the burden of caring what others think. Vegeta turned to face him, and his eyes, normally teal in Super Saiyan form, had gained a reddish tint. Shut up! He raised his hand and energy began to gather. Not a normal ki blast, but something more. Concentrated, compressed, tinged with darkness. It was his final flash technique, but corrupted, enhanced by rage and the dark side's influence. Vegeta, stop! Goku's voice cut through the haze. The orange-clad Saiyan stood in the chamber's ruined entrance, his own golden aura flaring as he transformed into Super Saiyan. Behind him, Master Yoda hobbled forward, leaning heavily on his stick. Don't listen to Sidious. He's in your head, making you angrier than you really are. Fight it! I don't need to fight it, Kakarot, Vegeta replied, his voice strange, his own words, but laced with something darker. This anger is mine. This power is mine, and I'm going to use it to erase this Sith filth from existence. At what cost? Yoda asked, his ancient voice somehow carrying across the destroyed chamber. Give in to rage, to hatred, and part of him you become. Win the battle he does, even if lose the fight you do. Then I lose, Vegeta snarled. Better that than let him threaten my family. The final flash fired, a beam of golden-black energy so powerful it distorted space itself. It should have vaporized Sidious completely, would have if the Dark Lord hadn't done something unexpected. He didn't dodge, didn't defend. He absorbed it. Sidious's body became a conduit for the attack, dark side energy wrapping around the ki blast and redirecting it through ancient Sith techniques that predated the Rule of Two. The beam curved, twisted, and came screaming back toward Vegeta. Vegeta crossed his arms and braced himself, his own attack striking him with catastrophic force. The impact drove him to his knees, his armor cracked, blood trickling from his mouth. But he didn't scream, didn't show weakness. Because that's who Vegeta was, too proud to break even when breaking would be merciful. You see, Sidious said, walking forward through the dissipating energy, your power is formidable, but power without understanding is just violence. I have spent decades mastering the dark side, learning its secrets. You're a child playing with forces beyond your comprehension. Then teach me, Vegeta said, his voice barely a whisper. Teach me how to master it, how to use this darkness to protect what's mine. Show me how to be strong enough that no one, not you, not anyone, can ever threaten my family again." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Goku's face went pale. "Vegeta, no, don't do this. Don't make a deal with him." "Why not?" Vegeta looked up, and his eyes were fully red now, the darkness creeping deeper. "I've been Majin. I've embraced darkness before and returned from it. What makes you think I can't do it again?" "Because Majin Buu's control was external," Yoda said softly. "This from within comes. Choose this, you do. And choices, consequences have. Permanent ones." For a long moment, Vegeta stood silent. The chamber around them was in ruins, but miraculously still standing, held together by Yoda's use of the Force. Sidious waited patiently, a predator knowing his prey was cornered. And Darth Tenebris, broken but still alive, crawled toward the datapad that had fallen during the fighting. Vegeta saw him move, saw his goal, and made a choice. His speed, even injured, was beyond anything the cultist could match. Vegeta appeared beside Tenebris, grabbed the datapad, and crushed it to powder in his fist. "No!" Tenebris screamed. "You've destroyed the coordinates! The pathway home is
closed," Vegeta finished coldly. His eyes, when they met Sidious's, were clear again. The red tint was fading, his golden aura purifying itself of the dark side corruption. "You were right about one thing, Sith. I care about my family more than my pride, more than my freedom, more than anything." He looked at Goku. "And that's why I can't accept your deal, Sidious. Because if I become your apprentice, if I let the darkness consume me to gain power, I might be able to protect them physically, but I'd lose what makes me worth protecting. I'd become the very thing I've spent my life overcoming." "Vegeta!" Goku breathed, relief flooding his face. "Don't get sentimental, Kakarot," Vegeta snapped, though there was no real venom in it. "I'm still going to kick your ass once we get home, however long that takes." He turned back to Sidious, and his voice became cold steel. "And you made a mistake revealing your plan. Now I know what you want, to escape this galaxy. Find new worlds to corrupt, which means I know how to stop you." He transformed again, but this time it was different. His golden aura surged, intensified, and his hair grew longer, sparks of electricity crackling around him. Super Saiyan 2, a transformation he'd achieved during his fight against Majin Buu, powered not by darkness, but by the pure desire to protect. "You want to know real power?" Vegeta asked, his voice resonating with energy. "Power isn't about control or domination. It's about surpassing your limits, about refusing to accept defeat, about protecting what matters, not through fear, but through strength earned through blood and discipline." He vanished. Even Sidious's force-enhanced perception couldn't track the movement. Vegeta appeared behind the Dark Lord, his hand glowing with concentrated ki, but instead of striking, he grabbed Sidious by the back of his robes and flew straight up, through the collapsing ceiling, through multiple levels of the temple, emerging into Coruscant's afternoon sky. "What are you doing?" Sidious demanded, dark side lightning crackling against Vegeta's ki shield. "Taking you somewhere you can't hurt anyone," Vegeta replied. He flew higher, higher, breaking through the atmosphere into space itself. Coruscant fell away below them, becoming a jewel of light against the darkness. And still Vegeta flew,
putting distance between the planet and what he was about to do. "You fool," Sidious hissed. "You can't survive in space without the Force to sustain you. You'll die." Saiyans can survive in space for short periods, and this will only take a few seconds. He released Sidious, let the Dark Lord float in the vacuum, and pulled both hands to his side. Energy gathered between his palms, golden, pure, unmarred by darkness. This was the final flash in its true form, not corrupted by rage, but powered by purpose. "This is for the Jedi you killed, for the galaxy you tried to enslave, and for trying to make me a weapon against my own family." Final flash! The beam erupted with enough force to be visible from Coruscant's surface, a lance of golden light that struck Sidious head-on. The Dark Lord screamed, calling on every ounce of dark-side power he'd accumulated over 70 decades. Dark-side barriers layered 100 deep, lightning that could fry starship shields, ancient Sith techniques that warped reality itself. None of it was enough. The final flash consumed everything: Sidious's defenses, his body, his very essence. And Vegeta didn't stop. He poured everything into the attack, every bit of power he could muster, until he was certain that not a single atom of Darth Sidious remained. When the light finally faded, Vegeta floated alone in space, breathing hard, his Super Saiyan 2 transformation flickering from exhaustion. He could feel the void where Sidious had been, no dark side presence, no lingering essence, nothing, just empty space. "Stay dead this time," Vegeta muttered. Then his transformation failed completely, and he began falling back toward Coruscant, consciousness slipping away. Strong arms caught him before he'd fallen far. Goku, also in Super Saiyan 2, had flown up to retrieve his rival. "I've got you, buddy." "Not your buddy, Kakarot," Vegeta managed, but there was no real venom in it, just exhaustion. "Sure, Vegeta, whatever you say. But you know what? You did good. Really good. Yoda's going to be impressed." "Don't care what the gnome thinks." Vegeta's eyes were already closing. "Just get me back. Need to figure out new way home." "We'll find it," Goku promised. "Together, however long it takes." They descended through the atmosphere, two warriors from another universe, leaving behind them the final death of the galaxy's greatest darkness. The Jedi Council convened 3 hours later in emergency session. Vegeta had been placed in a healing chamber, stabilized but unconscious. The Eternal Shadow had been completely eliminated. Their remaining members had been found throughout Coruscant's lower levels and arrested. And Darth Sidious, according to every Force-sensitive being's testimony, was truly, finally, permanently dead.
"Destroyed the coordinates, he did," Yoda said, softly, addressing the council. "Trapped himself here to prevent Sidious from threatening his universe. Selfless this act was, unexpected from one so proud. He also endangered the entire temple," Mace pointed out, though his voice lacked its usual criticism. "Made a deal with Sith cultists, nearly gave in to the dark side." "But didn't," Anakin countered. "At the critical moment, when it mattered most, he chose right. That has to count for something." "It counts for everything," Goku said from where he stood by the window. "Vegeta's not perfect. He's proud, aggressive, stubborn as hell. But when the real choice came, power or principle, he chose principle, just like he did against Majin Buu.
just like he always does, eventually. Ahsoka stepped forward. Masters, I think we've been looking at this wrong. We kept seeing Vegeta as a threat, someone to contain or control. But he's not a threat. He's just different. He doesn't think like we do, doesn't value what we value. But that doesn't make him evil. Dangerous, different can be, Yoda said, but also necessary. Challenge our assumptions, outsiders do. Show us truths we cannot see ourselves. He looked at Goku. 2 warriors from beyond the Force you are. One who embodies compassion. One who embodies pride. Both necessary. Both teaching us lessons we needed to learn. So what happens now? Goku asked. Vegeta destroyed the only path home. We're both stuck here. For now, Obi-Wan said, entering the chamber with a datapad. But I've been researching ancient texts. There's a place called the World Between the Worlds, a vergence in the Force that exists outside normal space and time. The Emperor had scholars studying it before his imprisonment. If anyone could access it, could use it to bridge dimensions, it would be you, Mace finished, looking at Goku. You're not bound by the Force, yet you can sense it. You exist in a space between our reality and yours. If anyone could navigate the world between the worlds, it would be someone like you. Where is this place? Goku asked eagerly. The ancient Jedi temple on Lothal. It's been sealed for safety, but with the Council's approval... Approved it is, Yoda said immediately. Home these warriors should return. Families they have. Lives they must resume. Our debt to them beyond measure it is. Goku felt hope surge in his chest. How long will it take to get to Lothal? 3 days by ship, Anakin said. I'll pilot personally. Consider it repayment for saving my life again. And Vegeta? Goku asked. He'll need to recover first. Healing he is, Yoda confirmed. Strong his body is, stronger his will. Days it will take, but ready for the journey he will be. As the council meeting adjourned, Goku made his way to the healing chambers. Through the transparent wall, he could see Vegeta suspended in Bacta-like fluid, his injuries already beginning to heal. The Saiyan prince's face was relaxed in unconsciousness, free from its usual scowl. You did good, Vegeta, Goku said quietly, knowing his rival couldn't hear him. You made the hard choice, sacrificed your easy way home.
The entrance to the world between worlds was marked by an ancient doorway covered in mortis symbols. Yoda stood before it, his ears drooped with concentration. Beyond this portal, time and space different they become, the ancient master explained. See all moments you can, all possibilities, all paths. But dangerous this place is. Lost one can become. Trapped in moments that never were or have yet to be. So how do we navigate it? Goku asked. With this, Ahsoka said, stepping forward with a small crystal in her hand. It glowed with white light, neither dark side corruption nor light side purity, but something balanced. It's attuned to your key signature, Goku. We collected residual energy from where you first arrived in our galaxy. This crystal will help you find the pathway back to your dimension. Vegeta took the crystal from her, examining it critically. And if it doesn't work, then we try something else, Ahsoka said simply. We don't give up on you, either of you. Yoda raised his stick and touched the doorway. The symbols flared with light, and the portal opened, revealing not a room beyond, but a vast, expansive pathways floating in cosmic void. Each pathway glowed with different colored light, representing different timelines, different possibilities, different realities. Incredible,
Goku breathed, staring at the infinite possibilities. Nauseating, Vegeta corrected. This place defies every law of physics I understand. That's because it exists outside physics, outside the normal universe. This is the Force in its purest form, unbound by matter or time. Only those with the crystal may enter. Others who try, lost they become, forever wandering, never finding their way home. Goku and Vegeta exchanged glances. Without words, they reached a silent agreement they would do this together. Vegeta held the crystal, and Goku placed his hand on his rival's shoulder. "Whatever happens in there," Goku said, "we face it together. Deal?" "Don't get sentimental on me, Kakarot," Vegeta replied. But he didn't remove Goku's hand. "Let's just get this over with." They stepped through the portal together. The world between worlds was overwhelming. Pathways stretched in every direction, each one showing glimpses of different moments, the Clone Wars at different stages, alternate timelines where different choices had been made, futures that might never come to pass. Voices echoed from everywhere and nowhere, conversations from across space and time overlapping into incomprehensible noise. "Focus on the crystal," Vegeta said, his voice cutting through the chaos. The white light pulsed, and one pathway, barely visible among the thousands, began to glow slightly brighter. They walked toward it, footsteps making no sound on the crystalline pathways. As they moved, they saw fragments of their own journey. Goku arriving on Christophsis, Vegeta's angry pursuit, the battle with Sidious, alternate versions where different choices had been made. In one pathway, Vegeta accepted Sidious's offer and became a dark side apprentice, conquering the galaxy with Sith power. In another, Goku never arrived at all, and Order 66 succeeded completely. In a third, both Saiyans died in the dimensional crossing, never reaching the Star Wars galaxy at all. These are all possibilities, Goku realized. Things that could have happened. Things that did happen in other timelines, Vegeta corrected. The multiverse theory was always real. We're just seeing proof of it. The pathway they followed grew brighter, and suddenly they could see through it. Glimpses of their own universe, Earth, Capsule Corp, the others searching desperately for any sign of them. But there was something else too, a barrier visible only here, in this place between places, a dimensional wall that separated the Star Wars galaxy from Universe 7, keeping the two realities distinct and separate. "That's what we need to cross," Vegeta said, pointing. "But it's too thick, too strong. We can't just punch through it." "Actually, you can't, but I can help," a familiar voice said from behind them. They spun around to find Anakin standing there. Not the physical Anakin from outside, but a projection. No, not quite. This was Anakin's Force presence, drawn into the world between worlds by his connection to them. "You can't be here," Vegeta said. "Yoda said only those with the crystal can navigate," Anakin finished. "But the world between worlds responds to strong connections. And like it or not, we're connected now. You saved my life, changed my fate, kept me from falling to darkness. That creates a bond." He approached the dimensional barrier, raising his hand. Blue Force energy began to flow from his fingertips, and the barrier started to thin. But it wasn't enough. One Jedi's power, even channeled through this place, couldn't breach something so fundamental. Then Ahsoka appeared, then Obi-Wan, then Mace Windu, and Yoda and every Jedi who'd fought alongside Goku and Vegeta. All of them projections, all of them connected, all of them channeling their power into one purpose. "We owe you our lives," Mace Windu said, his Force energy joining the others.
our order, our galaxy. This is how we repay that debt." The barrier began to crack. Fractures spread across its surface, and through the gaps, Goku could see home clearly now. Chi-Chi in their house, looking out the window with worried eyes. Bulma in her lab, working frantically on dimensional calculations. Trunks training alone, pushing himself harder in his father's absence. "They're waiting for you," Ahsoka said softly. "Your families, they never stopped believing you'd return." Vegeta stared at the image of his son, and something in his expression softened. "Trunks, he's gotten stronger. I can tell even from here." "He's your son, of course he has," Goku said with a smile.
Transitioning into a series of rapid strikes against an imaginary opponent. We train. We fight. We push past our limits until we break them. That's how we get stronger. Sounds exhausting. It is, Vegeta admitted. But it's also who we are. When you're born to a race of warriors, when strength is the only currency that matters, you either train every day or you die. He stopped, wiping sweat from his brow. Your galaxy doesn't understand that. Everything here is about politics, diplomacy, finding peaceful solutions. It's weak. Is it? Anakin challenged. The Jedi maintained peace for 1,000 years through diplomacy. How long did the Saiyan Empire last? The question hung in the air like an accusation. Vegeta's expression darkened. The Saiyans conquered for decades, until Frieza decided we were too dangerous and destroyed planet Vegeta. Killed nearly every man, woman, and child of my race in a single attack. His hands clenched. So no, Skywalker. Our way wasn't better. Our strength wasn't enough. We were so focused on combat, on proving our power, that we never saw the real threat until it was too late. Anakin was quiet for a moment. Then, "Is that why you made the choice you did? Against Sidious? Because you'd seen what happens when strength becomes the only thing that matters?" Maybe. Or maybe I just got tired of being manipulated by people who think they're smarter than me. He looked at Anakin directly. "You almost fell to the dark side once," Goku told me. "What stopped you?" "Honestly?" Anakin smiled slightly. "Goku did. He showed me that strength doesn't mean you have to face everything alone. That asking for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom." He paused. "I think he's been trying to teach you the same lesson, whether you want to learn it or not." "I don't need lessons from Kakarot," Vegeta said, reflexively, but the protest lacked its usual venom. "I just need to get home, see my family, make sure they know I'm still alive." "They know," Anakin said with certainty. "Someone like you, your family knows you're too stubborn to die. They're probably more worried about what you'll do when you get back, how many training sessions you'll demand to make up for lost time." Despite himself, Vegeta's lips twitched in what might have been the beginning of a smile. Trunks was supposed to be advancing his sword techniques. If he slacked off while I was gone, we're going to have words. "There it is," Anakin said, "the terrifying father act. My son Luke is only 3, but I'm already practicing that look." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, two warriors from different worlds finding common ground. Then Vegeta returned to his training, and Anakin left him to it, understanding that some people process trauma through action rather than words. Lothal appeared before them on the 3rd day, a peaceful outer rim world of grasslands and small settlements. The ancient Jedi temple sat atop a mesa, its architecture organic and flowing, as if it had grown from the rock rather than been built upon it. The world between worlds is deep inside, Obi-Wan explained as they landed. We've only been able to access it a few times and never with the intention of bridging dimensions. This will be unprecedented. Unprecedented seems to be my entire experience in your galaxy, Vegeta muttered. They entered the temple, its corridors lit by bioluminescent crystals that pulsed with subtle force energy. Vegeta could feel something here, not ki, not the force exactly, but something that existed between both, a liminal space where the rules were different.
The entrance to the world between worlds was marked by an ancient doorway covered in mortis symbols. Yoda stood before it, his ears drooped with concentration. Beyond this portal, time and space different they become, the ancient master explained. See all moments you can, all possibilities, all paths. But dangerous this place is. Lost one can become, trapped in moments that never were or have yet to be. So how do we navigate it? Goku asked. With this, Ahsoka said, stepping forward with a small crystal in her hand. It glowed with white light, neither dark side corruption nor light side purity, but something balanced. It's attuned to your key signature, Goku. We collected residual energy from where you first arrived in our galaxy. This crystal will help you find the pathway back to your dimension. Vegeta took the crystal from her, examining it critically. And if it doesn't work, then we try something else, Ahsoka said simply. We don't give up on you, either of you. Yoda raised his stick and touched the doorway. The symbols flared with light, and the portal opened, revealing not a room beyond, but a vast, expansive pathways floating in cosmic void. Each pathway glowed with different colored light, representing different timelines, different possibilities, different realities. Incredible, Goku breathed, staring at the infinite possibilities. Nauseating, Vegeta corrected. This place defies every law of physics I understand. That's because it exists outside physics, outside the normal universe. This is the Force in its purest form, unbound by matter or time. Only those with the crystal may enter. Others who try, lost they become, forever wandering, never finding their way home. Goku and Vegeta exchanged glances. Without words, they reached a silent agreement they would do this together. Vegeta held the crystal, and Goku placed his hand on his rival's shoulder. Whatever happens in there, Goku said, we face it together. Deal? Don't get sentimental on me, Kakarot, Vegeta replied. But he didn't remove Goku's hand. Let's just get this over with. They stepped through the portal together. The world between worlds was overwhelming. Pathways stretched in every direction, each one showing glimpses of different moments, the Clone Wars at different stages, alternate timelines where different choices had been made, futures that might never come to pass. Voices echoed from everywhere and nowhere, conversations from across space and time overlapping into incomprehensible noise. Focus on the crystal, Vegeta said, his voice cutting through the chaos. The white light pulsed, and one pathway, barely visible among the thousands, began to glow slightly brighter. They walked toward it, footsteps making no sound on the crystalline pathways. As they moved, they saw fragments of their own journey. Goku arriving on Christophsis, Vegeta's angry pursuit, the battle with Sidious, alternate versions where different choices had been made. In one pathway, Vegeta accepted Sidious's offer and became a dark side apprentice, conquering the galaxy with Sith power. In another, Goku never arrived at all, and Order 66 succeeded completely. In a third, both Saiyans died in the dimensional crossing, never reaching the Star Wars galaxy at all.
These are all possibilities, Goku realized. Things that could have happened. Things that did happen in other timelines, Vegeta corrected. The multiverse theory was always real. We're just seeing proof of it. The pathway they followed grew brighter, and suddenly they could see through it. Glimpses of their own universe, Earth, Capsule Corp, the others searching desperately for any sign of them. But there was something else too. A barrier, visible only here, in this place between places. A dimensional wall that separated the Star Wars galaxy from Universe 7, keeping the two realities distinct and separate. That's what we need to cross, Vegeta said, pointing. But it's too thick, too strong. We can't just punch through it. Actually, you can't, but I can help, a familiar voice said from behind them. They spun around to find Anakin standing there. Not the physical Anakin from outside, but a projection. No, not quite. This was Anakin's Force presence, drawn into the world between worlds by his connection to them. You can't be here, Vegeta said. Yoda said only those with the crystal can navigate, Anakin finished. But the world between worlds responds to strong connections. And like it or not, we're connected now. You saved my life, changed my fate, kept me from falling to darkness. That creates a bond. He approached the dimensional barrier, raising his hand. Blue force energy began to flow from his fingertips, and the barrier started to thin. But it wasn't enough. One Jedi's power, even channeled through this place, couldn't breach something so fundamental. Then Ahsoka appeared, then Obi-Wan, then Mace Windu, and Yoda and every Jedi who'd fought alongside Goku and Vegeta. All of them projections, all of them connected, all of them channeling their power into one purpose. We owe you our lives, Mace Windu said, his force energy joining the others. Our order, our galaxy. This is how we repay that debt. The barrier began to crack. Fractures spread across its surface, and through the gaps, Goku could see home clearly now. Chi-Chi in their house, looking out the window with worried eyes. Bulma in her lab, working frantically on dimensional calculations. Trunks training alone, pushing himself harder in his father's absence. They're waiting for you, Ahsoka said softly. Your families, they never stopped believing you'd return. Vegeta stared at the image of his son, and something in his expression softened. Trunks, he's gotten stronger. I can tell even from here. He's your son, of course he has, Goku said with a smile.
Thank you, Goku said, turning to face the Jedi projections. For everything. For helping us. For trusting us. For being our friends. May the Force be with you, they said in unison. Always. Vegeta said nothing, but he nodded once, a gesture of respect from the Prince of all Saiyans to warriors he'd come to acknowledge as his equals. Then together, the two Saiyans stepped through the barrier and vanished from the Star Wars galaxy. They materialized in midair above Capsule Corp, exactly where Vegeta had been when the dimensional portal first grabbed him. For a moment, they hung suspended, disoriented by the sudden shift in dimensional energy. Then gravity reasserted itself, and they fell. Goku caught them both with his ki, floating down gently to the courtyard where Bulma was frantically working on a massive machine covered in dimensional sensors. She looked up at the sound of their descent, and her eyes went wide.
Vegeta!
The Saiyan prince barely had time to land before his wife crashed into him, arms wrapping around him in a fierce embrace. You idiot! You've been gone for 3 weeks. Do you have any idea how worried I was? Where have you been? What happened? Why do you smell like ozone in ancient temples?
It's a long story, Vegeta said, his arms slowly returning the embrace. Involving laser swords and space wizards
and an evil emperor. Sounds like a Tuesday for you, Bulma said, tears streaming down her face. Don't you ever disappear like that again. Trunks has been asking for you every day. He thinks he did something wrong, that you left because... Where is he? Vegeta interrupted. Where's my son? Training grounds. He's been there every day, practicing the techniques you taught him. Vegeta was moving before she finished speaking, his ki propelling him toward the training grounds at the edge of the property. There, exactly as Bulma said, Trunks was going through sword forms with desperate intensity, a teenager trying to fill his father's absence with perfection. Your stance is off, Vegeta said from behind him. Left foot needs to be planted more firmly. Trunks spun around, his sword clattering to the ground. Father! Father! The reunion was less gentle than Bulma's. Trunks slammed into Vegeta with enough force to stagger even a Saiyan prince. But Vegeta caught him, one hand on his son's head, the other on his shoulder. I'm here, Vegeta said quietly. I'm back. And Trunks, he pulled his son back to look him in the eyes. You've gotten stronger. I can sense it. Your ki is more controlled, more focused. You didn't slack off while I was gone. I couldn't, Trunks said, wiping his eyes furiously. You always said a Saiyan never stops training, so I didn't. Even when I thought maybe you weren't coming back, Vegeta finished. But I did, because a Saiyan prince never abandons his family. Remember that. Goku watched the reunion from a distance, smiling. Then he sensed familiar energy signatures approaching fast. Chi-Chi, Gohan, Goten, all racing toward Capsule Corp after sensing his return. Goku! Chi-Chi's voice carried across the city. You get down here right now and explain where you've been. That's my cue, Goku said to Vegeta with a nervous laugh. Good luck explaining everything to Bulma. Good luck surviving Chi-Chi's frying pan. You're going to need it. As the sun set over West City, two Saiyan warriors reunited with their families after an impossible journey through space, time, and dimensions. They had fought Sith lords and saved a galaxy. They had faced temptation and made impossible choices. They had been heroes in a place that desperately needed them. But now, they were home. And that was worth more than any victory. 3 days later, Vegeta found Goku at Kami's lookout, staring out at the Earth below. Still thinking about them? Vegeta asked, coming to stand beside his rival. Yeah, Goku admitted. The Jedi. Anakin, Ahsoka, all of them. I hope they're okay. Hope the galaxy stays peaceful now that Sidious is really gone. They'll be fine, Vegeta said. They're warriors. Not the kind I'm used to, but warriors nonetheless. They'll adapt, grow stronger, probably build their order into something better than it was before. Think we'll ever see them again? No, Vegeta said flatly. The dimensional barriers are sealed. The world between the worlds is closed. And honestly, Kakarot, I'm fine with that. Let them have their galaxy. We have our own universe to protect. Yeah, Goku agreed. Then he grinned. So, ready to finish that sparring match we started? The one that got interrupted? Vegeta's eyes gleamed with competitive fire. I've been waiting for you to ask. 3 weeks of fighting Jedi and Sith. Now I want to test myself against someone who can actually keep up. Last one to the wasteland buys dinner. They exploded into the air simultaneously. 2 golden streaks of Super Saiyan energy racing toward the horizon. The earth trembled slightly from their passage, but the people below just smiled. The warriors were home. The world was safe. And in a galaxy far, far away, Master Yoda stood in the Jedi Temple gardens, looking up at the stars. He could no longer sense the 2 warriors from beyond. The dimensional barriers had closed, as they should. But the memory of them, the lessons they'd taught, those would remain forever. Changed this galaxy is, Yoda said to himself, because of them. Better, perhaps, more humble, more open to truths beyond our understanding. He smiled, his ears lifting. May the Force be with you, warriors of another world, and may your universe treat you well. The Force whispered its agreement, And somewhere in the cosmic web that connected all things, two galaxies that should never have touched now shared the faintest thread of connection. A reminder that the universe was bigger, stranger, and more wonderful than anyone could fully comprehend, and that sometimes the greatest heroes came from the most unexpected places.
The legend of the two warriors from beyond the Force became foundational to the reformed Jedi Order. No longer did they claim absolute knowledge or understanding of the galaxy's mysteries. They had been humbled by beings whose power existed entirely outside their framework, and it made them wiser. Anakin Skywalker never fell to darkness. With Sidious permanently destroyed and Goku's example forever in his mind, he embraced the love for his family that the old Jedi Code would have forbidden. He trained Luke and Leia openly, teaching them that strength came not from suppressing emotion, but from channeling it with discipline and compassion. When Luke eventually became a Jedi Master, he built an order that remembered the lessons two Saiyans had taught, that power without heart is meaningless, and pride without honor is poison. Ahsoka Tano became the Jedi Order's ambassador to the wider galaxy, teaching that wisdom could be found in the most unexpected places. She often told younglings the story of Vegeta, how the proudest warrior she'd ever met chose sacrifice over power, principle over convenience, how even someone who seemed irredeemable could make the right choice when it truly mattered. Mace Windu softened his judgments, remembering how wrong he'd been about both Goku and Vegeta. He became an advocate for giving second chances, for seeing potential where others saw only danger. His students learned that true wisdom meant being willing to change your mind when presented with evidence that challenged your assumptions. And Master Yoda, in his final years, would sit in the gardens and sometimes sense, just for a moment, a distant echo of ki energy from across dimensional barriers. In those moments, he would smile and know that somewhere, in a universe beyond their own, two warriors continued their eternal rivalry, continued pushing each other to greater heights, continued protecting their world with the same fierce dedication they'd shown in protecting a galaxy not their own. The Star Wars galaxy prospered. Democracy was reformed, corruption rooted out, systems rebuilt on foundations of justice rather than fear. The clone troopers became full citizens, heroes honored for their sacrifice. Peace reigned, hard-won and carefully maintained. But they never forgot. Every Jedi initiate learned about the warriors from beyond. Goku, who taught that kindness and power could coexist, and Vegeta, who proved that even the proudest could choose humility when it mattered most. In Universe 7, life returned to its chaotic normal. Goku resumed his training, his rivalry with Vegeta stronger than ever, each pushing the other to new transformations and greater power. But sometimes, in quiet moments, he would think about Anakin and Ahsoka, about Obi-Wan's dry wit and Yoda's cryptic wisdom. He wondered if they were happy, if they remembered him the way he remembered them. Vegeta never spoke of his time in the Star Wars galaxy. When asked, he would simply say, "It was a waste of training time," and change the subject. But Bulma noticed changes in him, subtle ones. He was more patient with Trunks' failures, more willing to ask for help when problems arose, more conscious of the line between strength and cruelty. And sometimes, late at night when he thought no one was watching, Vegeta would stand outside Capsule Corp and look up at the stars, not searching for anything in particular, just remembering. A gallery of beings who'd challenged his understanding of strength, who'd shown him that power came in forms he'd never imagined, who'd respected him not despite his pride, but because of his courage. Two universes forever changed by the briefest of connections. Two sets of warriors, never to meet again, yet forever linked by the bonds they'd forged in battle and crisis. The Force flowed through all things in one galaxy. Ki connected all living beings in another. And somewhere in the space between dimensions, in the cosmic foam where realities brushed against each other, those two great powers touched, just barely, just enough.
A reminder that no matter how vast the universe, no matter how insurmountable the barriers between worlds, some connections transcend space and time. Some friendships are eternal, even when separated by the impossible. And some rivalries continue forever, across dimensions, across the very fabric of reality itself, because that's what it means to be warriors. To never stop fighting, to never stop growing, to never stop pushing each other toward greatness. In the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, a new holocron was placed in the archives. It contained the complete story of Goku and Vegeta's arrival, their battles, their choices. Future generations would study it, would learn from it, would carry those lessons forward into whatever challenges awaited. And at the bottom of the holocron's entry, in Master Yoda's own script, were the final words, "From beyond the Force they came, beyond the Force they returned, but their legacy, within us, it remains, forever." The stars shone over both galaxies. Warriors trained under different suns, preparing for different battles, protecting different worlds. But the lessons remained the same. Protect the innocent. Honor your strength. Choose principle over power. And never, ever stop growing. Because that's what heroes do. In every universe, in every reality, across all space and time, they endure.